In this episode, myself and my guest will be discussing Ali Hazelwood's second book, Love on the Brain. Similar to her first book, The Love Hypothesis, this story follows a young woman in STEM who has just received a job opportunity with NASA to create a device for astronauts to use in space. This is where she discovers that she will also be working alongside Levi Ward, an old acquaintance from university. The two have always had a rivalry, but their perceptions of each other couldn't be more wrong. When an unknown colleague tries to sabotage their project and risk their careers, can Levi convince B that he is not the one to blame? And can they uncover the true culprit before the whole project gets scrapped? Okay, so to start off, I think we should definitely talk about the characters in general first. So, hi Nicole.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. We are going to talk about B and Levi as characters, kind of a first impressions kind of thing.
Okay.
So what was your first impression on B?
I really liked B. I felt that she was a strong woman, especially as you get through the book. You learn more about her past and how she is a very strong woman, working in STEM, working in science. She doesn't really care about what people think of her. And yeah, I like her. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think, from day one of her working at NASA, she kind of wants to come across as someone who knows exactly what they're doing. It's her project. She wants to own it. And I think that, again, this is a similar theme with Ali Hazelwood's books where she wants to perceive these women in STEM as, strong characters who don't have to take orders from anyone else and who know exactly what they're doing. How about Levi?
Not gonna lie, I feel like Levi is the classic bad boy personality. Like, we learn that he likes her and that he wants to be with her, but he does it in the classic way of where he hates her and that he thinks that he's getting her attention by hating her. But I just don't think in that age, I feel like it's not right. I don't know, but obviously where they've known each other for so long, that's probably where he wants to carry it on. And now, like, the fact that he still likes her, I just feel like he's the classic bad boy. He wants to get in trouble.
Yeah, it's kind of like, when boys are younger, they're taught to be mean to the girl that they like, and it's like he never broke that habit and he's still doing it.
If your parents ever told you, if a guy's horrible to you, he likes you, and that's what it comes across as.
Yeah, and clearly B isn't having any of it.
No, and I'm glad about that. B is a strong, independent woman.
Yeah. What do you think of him in terms of how he kind of sees B as someone he works with? Because he kind of talks down to her a lot in the beginning, and not just as someone who has obviously worked in that place for longer.
I feel like obviously it's kind of rare to see women working in science until recent times, obviously. So I feel like he still has that mindset of talking down to women because they don't know what they're doing. Apparently we don't know what we're doing in science. So which is why I feel like they did bring that stereotype of Levi talking down on B until we go towards the end of the book when they actually start to like each other. But I feel like I don't know if they've done that because he wants to show that hatred towards her.
Yeah.
Because no one else really did that until obviously her stuff goes missing.
Yeah.
I feel like they've just done it with Levi because he already hates her as it is. So he's like, oh yeah, let me just give me more of a chance to be horrible to her.
Yeah. So let's give the audience a bit of background here. So it gets to a point in the book where, where she starts to realise that something isn't right. She realises that some of her stuff starts to go missing. Her files aren't being saved to her computer or are being deleted, and she starts to get a bit suspicious. Did you immediately think that Levi was the reason, or did you think, Ali Hazelwood has done this because she wants us to assume that it might be Levi?
I didn't think it was Levi at the start because I thought that would have been too stereotypical. True. And I kind of wanted it to be someone else that really doesn't like her. But then as time went on, I did start thinking, maybe it is Levi.
Yeah, to be honest, it's kind of it's almost like she doesn't give us anyone else to blame at the beginning because she only kind of introduces Levi from the get-go, and then as you start to get introduced to more characters, that's when you kind of start to be like, maybe it's that one.
There's also this character, one of her colleagues absolutely hates B, which is where I was thinking, it's her, because she knows she feels threatened by B.
Yeah, it's gradually they just gave you more people that had an ulterior motive. Just quickly, before we kind of move on to another subject, I just want to add that obviously B thought that Levi was married for the first like half of the book.
Oh yeah, I remember that. But I swear in the book we find out B was married.
Like her fiance ran away with someone else or something.
And then her parents, B is really scared of love because her parents obviously passed away.
Yeah, so she just would rather be standoffish at this point instead of like, you know, have the fear of building new connections with people.
Did her fiance meet someone else or did her fiance run off? That's the part I'm like...
Whatever happened, it didn't end well. Obviously the main theme, like the woman in STEM, she's kind of in charge of the project to some extent. It's like, you know, it's meant to be empowering and it's meant to be...
I like that side of it.
Yeah, it's a modern take on, you know, working in science and so on, doing it from a woman's perspective, the same way it was with the first book she did and probably the third one.
I feel like her past and the way they love each other sort of thing is very cringy and it brings it down a bit.
There's definitely some moments where I kind of had to put the book aside and was like, oh, that's a bit cringe.
But
we'll get to that in a minute because we'll do a little leveling, 1 to 5, cringe level, spice level, everything else. But I want to quickly talk about the fact that every time something new came up between B and Levi and every time there was a bit of like a step up in the relationship, like, you know, not love relationship, obviously getting to be on good terms with each other at the start. It was every time he came to save her from something. First time obviously being, he saved her when, I think like shelves fell on her or something when on day 1 where she walked in.
Oh, no, it was day 1. She walked into work and there was obviously, like most offices have like shelving. And then he obviously had to be by the place where it happened and he obviously comes saves her.
Yeah.
What about the graveyard scene?
The graveyard scene, she gets stuck. Who's the first person she calls? Because it's the only person she knows. Levi calls Levi. Obviously, this is the first moment where we're like, oh, he obviously likes her. It's so obvious.
He wouldn't have come to save her if he didn't like her.
Also, no hesitation. Straight away, it was, where are you? I'm coming to come save you.
They've done it in such a way where you can just predict that they're going to get together at the end.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, Levi's got his demons as well. And I feel like that's one reason why they connected so well. It's because they both kind of had their own demons that they were fighting, but they found the comfort in each other. There could have been a moment where B came to comfort Levi over something instead of just Levi constantly coming to save B.
Exactly, because it was always the guy. It's always the girl. And don't get me wrong, women empowerment, yeah, but you know, it could be the other way around.
Okay, next up, we're going to do this little rating system that I came up with. It's going to be 1 to 5 system, and we've got a few topics here, let's call them. Cringe level, spice level, stereotypes, internal screaming, face palming, and a general rating at the end. Okay, so Nicole, cringe level 1 to 5. 1 being not too bad, 5 being the absolute worst. Had to put the book down, never picking it up again.
3.5 to 4. I feel like if it was completely on love, I'd feel like definitely a 5 because they've done that in like the most cringiest way possible.
I would say 3. The Galaxy leggings, I think, deserves its own star.
Why did they do Galaxy leggings?
I don't know. It's very like 2014
Tumblr.
So that deserves its own star. So for me, it's going to have to be a 4 out of, well, 3.5 to 4 out of 5. How about spice level? The thing is, it's like, obviously there wasn't loads of it, but that's good. Like, you just had
I'd say 2. Obviously there wasn't that much.
I'd say like 3.5. I think obviously it was a bit of a slow burn, so you didn't see anything like spicy until like the second half of the book. And there was like, I think 2 or 3 sections in there, or like chapters that were very, very, very heated. That's very heated. Stereotypes, I mean, we've literally just talked about this.
5.
5 for stereotypes.
5. I feel like, okay, obviously I'd say 4 because of the whole women in STEM thing, but 5 for everything else. If you take out the women in STEM, it's a 5 stereotype for me and no explanation on that.
Yeah, I'd say 3.
Really?
Only because it's just as... There are a lot of stereotypical things, but then there's also quite a lot of like non-stereotypes, and it kind of balances itself out to me a bit. So next one, internal screaming. I mean,
4.
You say 4.
I say 4.
There are a lot of moments where you were like, oh my god, things are happening.
I literally had to read that book. Like I could have, if I like sat down and read it, I probably could have read it within like an hour or 2.
Okay, face palming. Like,
isn't that the same thing?
What the fuck? Why have you done this? Why was this written?
I don't think 5, not because it's bad writing, because she wrote it quite well. It was just because obviously I'm not an author, so I can't say it's bad. But
a bit like it's come out of a Wattpad.
Yeah. I'd say 5.
And then lastly, a general rating. What would you rate out of 5?
I didn't mind it. I'd say 3.5. Potentially
3.5.
3.54. I didn't mind it. I thought it was quite a nice book.
Obviously, I've read the first one and I rated that a 5 out of 5. And I was like, this is definitely not going to be on the same level. Not going to be another 5 out of 5. But, you know, where the themes and everything are quite similar to what I liked in the first one, I think I'm a bit biased.
You're biased.
More because I enjoy this whole theme that she's going for.
Cool.
I would rate it a good 3 to 3 out of 5. And I'll tell you why. Because sometimes it's really nice to just read a basic 3 out of 5 star romance rom-com.
Yes.
It's just comforting and you don't have to read too much into it. Like sometimes you want to watch something where you kind of expect the whole plot.
That is true, to be fair. I still give it a 3.5. Like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. Like, it wasn't like wowzers, you know?
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good.
It's like in the middle.
Okay, so before we wrap up, I want to quickly talk about tropes in this book. What was your favourite trope?
Enemies to lovers, because at the start of the book, they really did not like each other from when they were in school, and then they obviously became lovers at the end, but it took them a very long time to do so. It wasn't just kind of like a week thing. It took them a very long time to both warm up to each other.
Yeah, I mean, I like, you know, I like a good slow burn. Like, you don't want to have the
rushed.
results like straight away, because then it's like, oh, well, that was
Exactly.
quick, that was a bit rushed. I mean, I'm a big fan of Grumpy Sunshine, but I kind of purposely try and source out books that are like the grumpy guy and the girl who's like a little ray of sunshine, and she kind of gets him out of his shell a little bit. You get what I mean? So I think that's definitely probably one of the most obvious tropes in this book. Okay, folks, that is going to be all for this week. Thank you, Nicole, for joining me on this episode.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And tune in next Monday where we'll be talking about our next book. You can actually vote for which book you want me to talk about next. Go onto my Instagram and check out my poll and pick which book you want me to read next episode. Thank you guys for listening.